Hi everybody, this is your friendly neighborhood Titan here. I'm bringing to you the Black Desert Beta Episode 9. So, I sped a lot of this up. A big part of this clip was me re-going over basically the grind of farming up those mushrooms. I just kept at it, hoping I could get more and more. I had planned to put them on the market for sale, but it didn't turn out well. I ran out of time, and ultimately I was pushing so hard to try to get into the story of the game, and I think we're about 10 clips away from like the full finishing of the game. The game has like an extra 10 hours on top of everything else that's here. You'll see in this clip that my Black Spirit, he's actually at, I think it's the 3rd tier, where he's already absorbed the 3rd artifact. I think I did that in, when did I do that? Actually, it's probably the 2nd artifact. Because his first stage, you don't have to absorb anything. The 2nd stage is he turns into a little blob. 3rd stage, he turns into the Black Spirit I have, I think. So he's still tier 3, but this is like the 2nd artifact he's already absorbed. I think that happened when I fought the 3rd boss in the game. Which, funnily enough, a lot of the things the artifacts that you find appear right after you beat the boss, so. So something else that I thought was pretty awesome is that when you're collecting up mushrooms and probably just regular fruit, I don't know about regular fruit, but I know for certain mushrooms, you get these fruits of destruction, or fruit of intellect, or fruit of creativity, something like that. And they are very valuable on the open market. I think they're like 30, well, I wouldn't call them very valuable. They're moderately valuable. I think they're 36,000 a piece. Sometimes, oh, fruit of power or something like that. They're about 36,000 a piece. Some of them are a little more than others, I think. But it is very interesting to see that. What I also like is the open market, it seems to have like a limit of how far you can push it. You can't just like, at least if you're still brand new, come up with some crazy number to sell something at. There's a good guideline on how to sell something. There's no manipulating it to the point you break the fucking market. Alright. I think from right here, yeah, I'm heading towards Glish. You've seen Glish a couple times, like I said in many other episodes. If this is the first one you're watching, Glish is just, it's kind of like just a pathway city. You kind of go through it just to get a couple quests and leave. I was at Glish a lot more often, I would say, than I bet a lot of y'all are laughing watching me slide off of that horse. But what was I saying? I've visited Glish more often than I did Bieli, but it just didn't feel like somewhere I wanted to stick around. The two places that I felt like sticking around were Hydal and Calpheon. And I don't like Calpheon. I mean, Calpheon's probably the best place to live, technically, because it's just the most lavish luxury city in the whole game you get to play through the storyline.
Storing is the first.
And by storyline, I mean the main story. I realized that it would be a pain to transport all of this through a wagon via the warehouse. So I'm going to carry it my own self. I have more than enough storage space, and believe it or not, your storage goes on for what seems like an infinity. It's not literally infinity, but it's very, very, very long. Like, if you run out of storage spots that you can earn, something's wrong. I ran out of storage during the game because I did not realize how crazy huge the potential storage you could get. But for the most part, I mean, it's really hard to run out of storage. Like, you have warehouses, you have yourself. If you're confident you'll be going back through an area, you'll probably want to use that warehouse. If you're not so confident, I would most likely suggest against it, unless you had to use it. And if you have to use it, I would highly suggest having the warehouse transport it back to your home city that you use often. Keep in mind, sometimes you just have to take control and ignore auto run. Auto run is not the wisest thing in the world. It is your best friend, but auto run will also get you in tons of trouble. Auto run is awesome. It is amazing. It's one of the best features I've seen in this game. It is not perfect. It's like a lot of people. It's just not perfect.
You can entrust your goods without worry, since it's an official trade zone approved by the head of the Magic Guild.
I'm not gonna lie, that's like way too nice. Not saying that females can't be nice to guys, but that's just like, it's just too cute. It's gotta go away. I'm just kidding. Could you imagine dating one of these girls that are running the central market, and then you run into their father, which I think is the alchemist that you meet tons of times throughout the story. He's just sitting there, he's like, oh, it's you. Hit you with the fucking staff. So as you can see here, I kind of debated on putting those in. I probably should have, in hindsight, because I didn't get to use any of them. And maybe the garden feature was working for somebody, it just wasn't working for me. I was still figuring out that, you know, there's quite a bit of storage space there. So, at this screen, you basically get to regulate what price you're wanting to list it at. That's like 34,000. That's nothing to snuff at. That one's 34. So, fruit of abundance, fruit of nature, fruit of the crimson flame, fruit of the sun, fruit of magic power. So this one here, fruit of perfection, that's a good bit of money there. Fruit of destruction. So now you know, like, if you get fruit of perfection, that's the one to look for. Yeah, look, 8,200,000 and something. I went to the very bottom to see if anyone would buy this weapon. 7,400,000 is what you can list it for. At apparently its lowest. Now I ain't really. Well, I mean, I understand the fact of limiting how low you can sell something, because then you could still break the market. You could make it to where new players couldn't make a profit. Kind of like how Walmart, I was going to say Kmart, but Kmart, Kmart's hitting bricks. Kind of like how Walmart and, well, just Walmart. I can't think of anybody else that's really damaging the market as badly as Walmart. Like, even McDonald's, for the most part, like, they're offering a different type of good for less than your type of good. Like, the goods that certain restaurants offer are up to par to pretty close of what McDonald's offers, if not a little better. And they do so for sometimes a higher price, but they're allowed to. I mean, everybody's allowed to. And it doesn't make a sense why not to. Like, they have different things and they taste differently. I've ate from Burger King and McDonald's. Neither one tastes the same. It's not like, oh, this tastes just like a Big Mac. No, that's not how that works. Every now and then you'll see random jumps. It's either because it's too grindy for even me to handle, or it's me standing still for a minute. You know, you never want to take things for too long. I'm trying to keep these clips as short as I can get them, because after I chop them up, I've spent probably 30 minutes chopping it up. This is a humidity chart, by the way. This is very important for when you're looking into mushrooms and probably other plants. I think humidity is for the mushroom, and temperature is more for the plant. I could be wrong, though. The guy that I saw that was planting mushrooms, he suggested Heidel. Or no, wait, I take that back. The guy I saw planting fruit actually suggested Heidel. And the guy I saw... Or, actually, no, it may have been the mushroom. The guy that was planting mushrooms suggested Heidel. The guy that was planting fruit suggested Vielli. I think. Basically, one or the other is the other or the other. You know what I mean. Basically, in the most simplest of terms, one is the opposite of the other. To simplify it just a little bit. Now, this is where I got a second garden fence to make sure that something was awry, that something had went wrong. So, whenever you're making gardens, you're going to want your fences real close to each other, if at all possible. If you're putting different fruit and stuff and everything like that in them, then you might want them at a different distance because of, you know, profitability. But for the most part, if you plan to pick them up and pull them out so you can get the seeds and you can get the plant itself, and truthfully the seeds are worth more than the plant are, so they're rarer, but you have to get you yourself have to pick up the plant to get the seed, which is pretty rough. But I mean, it's better than wasting money. Keep in mind, you'll get to a point where you probably won't have to do that anymore. So I was trying everything to get all this out of my way. Take the thicket, the bush, and the maple tree. I was trying to do anything I could to remove these things. So this is actually the first fence I put down. I was thinking it was the second. So you'll see it pop up here. There it is. There's your large fence for whatever it's worth. Jack Diddley, to be honest. It was more of a detriment during the beta, because you're supposed to be able to walk up to it, hit triangle, and, you know, open it up and plant. But it's just not happening. I looked at all the processes to see if maybe there was a way of doing it, but I literally watched somebody on computer, and then I watched somebody on Xbox, and then I watched somebody with the advanced version of this beta, and they just said you just hit triangle, which is basically the action button. You just hit triangle until it fills, and then you can start planning. But unfortunately for me, the beta did not work out that way, and that's not how everything went. I was really looking forward to getting y'all some gameplay of how you take the hyphanas, the spores, and plant them into the ground, and then start making profit out of them, because you can apparently breed them. So this is the tier 3 black spirit. And I think a lot of the black spirit missions are connected to the main storyline for the most part. Talk to Dawson. So Dawson, if I remember correctly, is the guy that is bailing out on Jordan and ratting him out in every way possible to kind of save face. At least that's what it looks like. Keep in mind I had to blur through a bit of the story that I didn't think was the most vital thing to know, because the beta was coming to an end. Truthfully, this game is about to be offered to people with early access, maybe even tomorrow, as I speak with you. I think it's August 22nd that it comes out. I might be wrong, but there is a 48-hour early access to this game if you pre-order it. I was hoping to have more time to put out these clips, but in recent clips, if you've heard like a loud pop, it was because my headset was wireless at that moment, and some type of latency happens whenever it's like that, so it'll pop. So since then I've put it straight wired, and I hope to offer a better audio experience than the last couple clips. I'm hoping to get at least 3 clips out, because before, putting out one clip was a bit of a trouble because I had to go back through and remove the pops as best as I could. The rendering software I use has a bit of trouble chopping up the clip as much as I do, because I take like full halves of the clip out. Which, to be fair, you're not missing anything. It's mostly I'm either speeding it up or I'm chopping full parts out that even I can't watch.
What is your name?
Here's Flaviano with his
I have a sickness that doesn't allow
strong
me to
fence.
recognize
I kept
faces.
calling it a large fence. It's a strong fence. My bad. But when you get a strong fence up and running, what you saw a good while back is the worker tab, which lets you manage your workers. I think that was not really complete yet for the beta. I don't think they imagined people would really be trying to garden at this point, because they're like, oh yeah, they'll just lose everything. I got to level 50. I had gardened. I had actually had 2 gardens, even though I really should just stuck with the one, since I knew it just couldn't work. I wanted to make certain that I couldn't offer that teens. This is me checking the chat to see, I was basically asking, like, where's all the DMs? So there was lots of game managers and whatever they may be called, popping up on the screen the first couple days, but when it came to this part where I was level 28 and everything, they just disappeared. They all just did not. They weren't on right now. They were probably fixing the game. Is my sincerest hope, because there is clearly a couple things still wrong. Like, I put down that fence, and trust me, I put it even here where there's one little log in the way. It didn't stop me from putting it down, and still could not activate my fence. So what you see there is a hawk. It's a pet. If you've seen the previous episodes, their purpose is to collect anything that an enemy drops without you having to walk over and hold triangle. It is it's an arduous thing to have to go over every enemy you kill and do that. You have to kill hordes upon hordes of enemies, especially later on in the game, to really get somewhere. I remember towards the end of the beta, I was killing so many things that it gave me a title for it. So I'm pretty confident that's well over, you know, almost 1,000 of that. It was just so many things. I'm pretty confident it was like 1,000 lizardmen and 1,000 catfishmen. Actually, I think that's one of the missions. You have to kill 1,000 catfishmen. Basically, right here it is. I'm putting it up for any game manager, anybody that's supposed to be helping the people that are enjoying the beta to see. And I'm searching all through that to find just one of them. They just weren't here today. I was really hoping, deep down, I was like, let me get this done. Let me get it going so I can show people how to do it on PS4. It's completely different on computer. The interface looks so much more complex because you just have more buttons to use. Like when you have a keyboard, you got somewhere between 40-50 buttons. A controller, maybe 10, 12, maybe 15. I don't know. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3. So there's 4 there, 4 on that end, 2 there, 4 there. So 8, 16, 18. You can technically count those like 19, 20 buttons. It's not nowhere near as many as on a keyboard. You got 10 on just the number pad alone. Like, what's really cool about a computer is you can actually have a gamepad and you can graph buttons to that gamepad. Whole actions. I was wondering why I was getting stomped in PvP, and somebody had graphed their healing potions to a 1-click. So I was fighting them for some reason, like regardless of how beat they were or how smacked around they got, they were able to heal themselves with that potion the very moment it was clear they should have died. Like, I was hitting them so hard that it was ridiculous. It was 2 people versus 1. And one time I wore him down to a point he could barely hold it, and the other person killed him. And I was like, oh man. So off we go now. PvP, I highly suggest you get to like level 60, 55, something crazy before you even consider that. Because when I was fighting somebody, it just felt fun. It felt very bad. I'm trying to hold my language as best I can. It was very unpleasant to fight somebody that was like level 50, and I was not that level. I think I was level 30 when I actually decided to go and fight that. Maybe 40, but 10 levels is a big difference in any game. 15's especially a big difference in any game. Yeah, that's me asking, why isn't there any... actual people that help. Oh, by the way, this is somewhat important. There are bandit groups. Even in beta, there was a bandit group, like right where you saw me fall over. You want to avoid those. But anyways, it's been my pleasure. Don't forget the links down in the description and to subscribe. And I appreciate you all. Bye!